Hello, friends, and welcome to a very special episode of Area 312. And Mike, Rex, and I are going to be doing something this summer. We were calling it the Shot of Summer Special Series. It will be one special bonus episode per month, beginning in May through August. Yeah, May, June, July, August. I got it right. So 4 episodes in total. This will be episode number 1, and we're just going to start off with this. This will either be called, we'll just call it Evie's Little Unboxing. How about that? As you guys know, our friend Stacy Roberts of the Brave, so kind to everybody, and it's been a blessing to be friends with him and other musicians along the journey here. Stacy has sent us. Mine is Italian, guys. Mine came from Italy. Fragile.
Fragile, yeah.
It's from the Brave. So Stacy was kind enough to send us a vinyl album, and we just thought of Evie's Little Garden. So we just thought we'd do a little Evie's Little unboxing episode right here and now. So we wanted everybody to see when Stacy of the Brave sends you a vinyl, this is what it comes in. So it's nice and sturdy. And I've got to open up my little Swiss Army knife here, and we're just gonna, guys, have at it. Just open and unbox. Once again, Rex has already got his open. Fast. Let's see here.
Like Christmas, Cat. I'm fast with my presents.
Stacy sent this to us like a week ago, and we were just kind of waiting to do this unboxing episode. Rex, go ahead and show everybody here while we're unboxing. So, boy. Okay, so as you can see with Michael, it comes in a nice little outer wrapping. Here we go. I had it turned sideways, guys. I thought Evie was flying for a second there. Right.
Trying to figure the best way to open this up.
So there we go. And what does it say? Digital download included.
Download included, yeah.
Mine was made in Canada. To our friend Michael Crew, maybe you can answer this question. Does anything good come out of Canada? I'm teasing. The Daniel Band comes out of Canada.
Yeah.
And you, Michael. Guys, is yours open yet?
I don't have the shrink wrap opened yet, but I'm working on it. Okay, now I got the shrink wrap.
You do have it off?
Yeah. Now
all right, let's open up that gatefold.
Oh, let me go this way.
That's beautiful. Just a beautiful album. So I had purchased the CD, guys, when it came out, and I think we all three did, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So Stacy was kind enough to, just because we befriended him, he was kind enough to just send us a courtesy copy just out of his own generosity. So thank you so much, Stacy, Malcolm, and John. Thank you so much. It means a lot to us, and everybody in the Brave. We do love you guys. Been listening to you guys since Battle Cries in '92. Thank you for this wonderful gift, Stacy and company. This is awesome. Guys, let's talk a little bit about this album as a whole.
Yeah, I just noticed one thing here. I'm pretty impressed that they were able to get Thing from the Addams Family to pose for this picture on the inside.
The hand. So, friends, if you don't have a copy of this wonderful album, I mean, beautiful artwork, wonderful music, as we all know by now, thebravemusic.com. We will put a link in the description. Wonderful artwork. Now, guys, I didn't have, there are plenty of artists that have released wonderful works of art musically and whatnot. Let's talk about Triton Blood of Kings being one of those, many people's top pick for 2021. And I didn't have that album at the time in 2021. Thanks to a friend. Thank you, Eric. Eric has sent me a copy of Blood of Kings, and it's a wonderful album by Triton. But me not having Blood of Kings in 2021, The Brave took my top pick for the best album released that year, as it did many others. And it's not a competition. It's just The Brave released a great album, as did Triton and others.
I've always wondered what my life would be like if he had not died for me. To think that forever, if we were together alone for eternity, but I believe in you.
Guys, let's talk about some songs. The moment I first heard Evie, the actual song Evie's Little Garden, I was hooked on that song.
Oh, yeah. Great song.
What are some songs that really stood out to you guys from this album, from Evie's Little Garden?
Creep is another good song that I really enjoyed. Yeah, and it's kind of hard to pick because they're all just excellent songs.
Yep. We're Not in Kansas Anymore.
Yeah.
Good one.
I think if I remember right, I think it's Run to You that I was pretty impressed with. It actually reminded me a bit of the old Angelica sound on that. And
there we go, Rex. Yeah, we got to show the vinyl.
yeah.
Check this out. This is gorgeous. Check that out.
Oh, wow.
Candy Apple Red.
Trying not to, but
I haven't gone that far just because I've got to just do too much.
Well, and I'm noticing the labels are different on side A and side B. Side A, it's not, the apple is not bitten, and then side B it is.
Yep. Y'all remember Apple Records from the Beatles? It had the whole apple on one side and the half apple on the other.
Yep.
Yep. Is that a polyline sleeve? What kind of a sleeve are we looking at, guys?
That I don't know. Okay. It feels to me just like paper.
Right. Yeah. Just anti-static or.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful, guys.
Yeah. Yeah. That is gorgeous.
So this album contains Evie's Little Garden. It contains We're Not in Kansas Anymore. It contains Run to You, like Mike was saying. It also contains, remember, I've Always Wondered.
Yep.
That was a great song. And guys, one of my favorites was actually, if I remember correctly, in talking with Stacy, it was Almost Not Included. One of the bonus songs initially was Love Automatic. Remember that song?
Yeah.
That's just such a fun song. And initially that one, and I think one other song were going to be bonus tracks, like for maybe it was CD only or something. And thankfully, I think at the stroke of midnight, Stacy, correct me if I'm wrong, pipe in there with a comment or something, but Stacy and company decided, no, we'll just go ahead and put that one in Love Automatic and the other song just for everybody. Everybody's going to get it. So to me, that was a standout cut too, Love Automatic. Great album, guys. And one thing I like, go ahead, Mike.
Well, this is just beautiful. And if you notice on the one side, you've got the apple pre-fall and then the apple post-fall. And you also have that reflected on the album cover itself, between the front and the middle, and then on the back, it's been eaten. See, so.
Yeah. And that artwork, I just fell in love with that art too. And I told Stace, remember we were talking, and every band has a mascot, and I believe that Stacy and company have found their mascot in Evie. I hope Evie is included in some manner, on subsequent releases. I want to discuss, guys, also, let's talk about Stacy and company's genuineness. You remember there was a delay, to no fault of Stacy's. There was a delay in general in vinyl. And remember what Stacy did? Even for the people who didn't order a CD, who just ordered the vinyl, because of the delay, he just shipped everybody a complimentary CD. And I just want to say that Stacy's genuineness, generosity, and integrity just really shone through upon that. And
Yeah, absolutely.
You can just tell his heart for people, and just it just comes through automatically.
So friends, thebravemusic.com, if you haven't already picked up Evies Little Garden, or perhaps a past album by The Brave, and soon to come, guys, the summer of 2022, correct me if I'm wrong, Rex, you're always on top of this better than me, but Gravedigger, the new album from The Brave, is coming out this summer. We've seen the artwork. Stacy has posted it. It looks very engaging, wonderful. You guys might remember, friends, viewers out there, we had Stacy on for a special Christmas episode in 2021, and he shared with us 3 demos: Bad Day, Gravedigger, and Heaven Knows from the forthcoming album. Those will be interspersed throughout this special episode here.
Let me tell you something. Nobody knows where the grave digger goes. Boots on a shovel, kicking bodies in a hole. Burying sins that are left alone. Nobody knows where the grave digger goes. Whoa, 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 yeah, yeah. Whoa.
So thank you again, Stacy. Thank you, Malcolm and John, and thank you to all members, past, present, of The Brave. Just appreciate you guys. Love your music, love the ministry that's involved with the lyrics, and just who you are as people. Thebravemusic.com, friends.
I just want to say how nice it is to have something like this. For people in our generation, when we were teenagers, especially before the CDs became popular, this is what we bought, this or cassettes. And, cassette was kind of the poor man's way to go, I guess. But if you really wanted the quality, full, complete product, you'd go get the LP, because you got all this extra artwork and everything that comes in here. And, back in the day, I had stacks of these, I don't have a lot of them anymore. I held on to a few pretty important ones, but so it's just really nice to get something like this now in this day and age.
And the artwork is stunning.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think my camera will do it justice, but this artwork is, look at that. That is just beautiful.
Oh, gotta let it bleed. Fear is a prison that we don't understand. Love is the weapon we hold in our hand.
Area 312, some of y'all have asked us questions about us. Our intent was to do some episodes, and we were uncertain if we were able to. Our intent was to glean the artists who have ministered to us and brought great music throughout the years. And we were uncertain how difficult of a task that would be. So Area 312, of course, it's a nod, it's a subtle nod and a tip of the hat and an homage of respect to Resurrection Band, who are largely deemed as the very first hard rock / early classic metal band that was openly Christian in nature. And we recognize that. And so Area 312, it's, we named ourselves after a song off the DMZ album. It's a nod and a wink to Resurrection Band. And some of y'all had asked us questions. We had intended on doing an episode, maybe explaining who we were and things like that, but the Lord saw fit. We were just able to, thankfully, from the Lord, we were able just to glean special guests, and it's been a wonderful journey that we've been very privileged to be on. So we never really had a chance to explain us or who we are, and some of you have asked questions about us on our Facebook page. We're called Area 312 Rock and Metal Vodcast because we didn't want to explicitly, say Christian only. We do have the freedom to talk about other artists and bands, whether they be mainstream or explicitly Christian in nature. But we're going to tell you just a little bit about ourselves. Mike, we'll start with you, buddy. If you would, when did you first receive Christ in your life?
Well, probably when I was about 8 years old. My mother sat my brother and I down, and she had recently gotten saved herself after starting going to a Reformed church. And she'd heard the gospel and accepted Christ as her Savior, and she sat us down and told us about it. And I expressed interest in, giving my life to the Lord, and my brother wasn't ready for that, but that's where it really began for me, I guess. Although I would say that as far as my memory goes, I think I'd already been prepped for that. I just kind of always felt a closeness to God, like God was something I just knew was there, and that God was supposed to be some part of my life. So I was pretty open to that when she came to me with it. But honestly, I didn't start following Jesus in earnest until probably 15, 16, thereabouts, because I kind of went down a path of rebellion for a while and got into a lot of stuff I shouldn't have, and kind of hit bottom with that through some things that I won't take the time to go into. But it really, at that point in my life, showed me my need for Christ in a much more recognizable way that hit both my mind and my heart, my spirit, and so pretty much from that point on, it's been much more earnestly following Jesus. So.
Rex, what about you, buddy? When did you ask Christ into your life?
Well, my family was always involved in church. My dad was a deacon and then an elder, and I was baptized at 12 years old. Just trying to think how to say this exactly. I think because of growing up in the church all your life, you just kind of, that's just all you know. And so, I don't regret getting baptized at that age. I'm just not sure that you fully can comprehend all that. And I kind of have a similar story to Mike, where it was a little bit older, but I kind of, just kind of went my own way for a while after college. And then in 2004 is when I really consider that I, became a believer and follower, on my own, so to speak, kind of away from my parents. I was, how old would I have been? 26 or something like that. And had a thing where I fell and was in a nursing home because my arm and left leg were broken, and you have a lot of time to think on things in a bed there where you can't really do anything. And so that's kind of, to me, I think God kind of just woke me up a little bit and said, "Hey, Rex, what are you doing?" And that's kind of when I really was like, okay, I'm gonna do this for real, so to speak, and be all in. So that's kind of my story of coming to faith.
I I received the Lord in 1981, and we had moved to Arkansas from Missouri, and anyway, just started going to church, and what the preacher was preaching on, it just made sense. It just hit home. I listened to him, and I'm like, this makes sense. And my mom had received the Lord before me, and my parents started striving to live for the Lord, and I just wanted to do the same. I knew that I wanted Jesus in my heart, and I've always known that God has existed. I mean, just even before I received Christ, like personally asked Him into my heart, I remember praying to God, as in a younger child, just being out there in creation. I remember being at the creek one time at the farm, praying to the Lord and talking to Him. So I received Christ into my heart at the age of 11. I knew that I did bad things, and I knew I needed Jesus, and I wanted Jesus because He loved me first. And so that's kind of, when I received Christ.
I'm not gonna have a bad day. Yeah, I know just who you are, so you won't get very far. Another bad day, bad day. Picked the wrong place to play, so just stay out of my way. I know you're there. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mike,
Mhm.
whether mainstream or Christian, evidently all three of us are, lovers of music. What was your first mainstream, and what was your first Christian band that you really got into? One from each, mainstream and Christian.
Well, in my life before I really started following Jesus earnestly, I was a Van Halen nut. I mean, they were, and those were the classic Van Halen years with David Lee Roth. And yeah, that's what I was all about. I had started learning to play guitar when I was 14, and started some very early feeble attempts at writing songs. And once I was exposed to Eddie's guitar playing, I was just like enthralled, and the songs themselves, of course, were good too. And David Lee Roth certainly had a way with words. So, I just was pretty well taken in by the whole thing. And but interestingly enough, probably must have been in 84, I want to say, that I went to a Petra concert. I was invited to go through my church youth group. And it's funny because I got invited to both a Petra concert and a Res concert that year. And the Res concert, I don't know why, maybe I had plans to do something else or whatever, but I blew it off and I didn't go, and that's something I regret to this day. But I went to the Petra concert, and even where I was at right then, I just really enjoyed that, and it struck home with me a lot of things that they said, and the songs, and Randy Stonehill was their opener, so I just I was exposed to some good stuff that night. But oddly enough, I mean, I went to that concert and I experienced that, but I didn't go out at that time and buy any Christian music. And I think the first album that I remember buying was actually Stryper's Soldiers Under Command. I saw it in a record store and looked at it and saw the song titles and went, oh, that seems pretty interesting. So I bought that. And I think that kind of opened the floodgates then, because I was like, oh, this is really good. So I went out and started buying lots of Christian music, and you know, but ultimately Petra ended up being my favorite Christian rock band, and is to this day. So yeah.
Rex, what about you? What was your first mainstream band that really struck a chord with you, and then the first Christian band?
Well, the first mainstream band actually was due to my brother. I was 9 at the time, and he had brought, I can't remember what album. It might have been Rock and Roll Over, but Kiss. And, you know, they were just so, by then, you know, their album covers and just their whole, you know, makeup and persona. I mean, a 9-year-old kid's just gonna, you know, be mesmerized by that. So that was like the first mainstream band. And I'm kind of like Mike. The first Christian band would be Petra. I remember getting Never Say Die, and the next two albums artwork was even better. But you know, I remember that the album artwork, like we were talking, this album artwork on records is really a big thing of, you know, an album, I feel. So Petra, you know, I was getting everything I could get of Petra then after that Never Say Die album. I mean, you know, More Power to You, that's just like that's about the best almost, I feel, especially the Greg Voltz era. So, you know, Petra for me was the first one on the faith-based side.
Much like you, Rex, my older brother, I was in first grade, and I guess it was 77, so the back half of first grade. Back then I was really big into collecting, you know, the Mego superheroes back in the 70s and the Star Wars figures. And he brought home this 8-track tape. It was Rock and Roll Over. And I'm like, who are these superheroes on the front of this tape? Of course, we put it in our 8-track player, and they're playing this raucous music. And I just thought it was cool because it was superheroes that played this cool music, and my older brother was cool, right? So Kiss became, I mean, I was a Kiss nut. And all that I wanted, birthdays, Christmas, or whatever, was just Kiss stuff. When I received the Lord in 81, I knew something was different. I mean, I was a kid. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but I knew that, you know, I didn't really know what Kiss was singing about because it was all cleverly worded, but I knew something wasn't quite right. And I loved, when I became born again, when I received the Lord. Now, I grew up in the Baptist church. I love the hymns, and I love them to this day. At that age, though, I just could not relate to the piano and organ. In the Baptist church during the early 80s, you had the piano on one side and the organ on the other. I loved what we were singing about or to whom we were singing, but I couldn't, the music bored me to tears. The lyrics got me pumped up. And I remember saying, guys, I loved Kiss at that time and I loved the Beatles. But I remember saying, my exact wording was, why can't somebody play music like the Beatles and give God the glory for it? Well, it turns out they did, because in 1982, a buddy had the Never Say Die cassette, and we were on our way to a church camp. He had somebody put it in the church bus. And when I first heard the opening chords, the opening fretwork of Chameleon, my ears perked up. And then by the time I heard these power chords, man, of Angel of Light, the next song, I was sold. And I'm like, who is this? And he said it was Petra. And so I went desperately. As soon as I got home from this church youth trip, I told my mom, I said, we've got to go find Petra. They didn't have Never Say Die in stock. So I settled for the next best thing, which was this little cassette called More Power to You. I was sold, man. From Stand Up to Second Wind to Judas Kiss, right? I mean, so that's when my love for Christian rock began, and I could relate to the music. It's giving all the glory to the Lord. Daniel Band kicked it up a notch on the decibels, and Striper on down the line. So that's kind of it for me.
Heaven sees the tears you cry. There's no need to wonder why. Heaven holds the key to the only one who can carry you home. Heaven knows. Yeah.
We addressed when we Christian rocked. Why Christian rock? Mike and Rex, why do you listen to this music, for lack of a better term, called Christian rock? Mike, why do you listen to Christian rock?
Well, I listen to it because I love rock and metal. That's a big part of it. But the thing is as I began earnestly following Christ, around 15 or 16 or so, my spirit needed something different. I mean, I loved Van Halen, but it wasn't feeding my soul. So, I began to crave something that would uplift me and build me up in my faith. And that's where, reaching out to these Christian rock bands began to provide that. And honestly, again, nobody did that better than Petra, because Petra songs are like Bible studies. I mean, you could use them as lesson plans, honestly. So I learned so much from listening to Petra and some other bands too. But, and that was the thing. It's just that all these bands I would begin to check out would help, feed my Christian faith, feed my walk, feed my spirit, and they helped me worship. When I would go to church on Sunday, I didn't mind worshiping with, hymns and choruses and stuff like that, but it wasn't really my speed, And so when I would go and listen to stuff that some of these Christian bands would do, that helped me worship God in a way that was more in kin with my spirit and soul. So, yeah.
Rex, why do you listen to Christian rock music?
Well, kind of all along the same lines as what Mike was talking about, and I just want to be perfectly clear. I'm assuming most people have figured this out, but all of us listen to, other stuff than just Christian music or faith-based music, myself included. So I just want to just let everyone know, hey, it isn't like Rex just listens to quote Christian music or whatever. But like Mike said too, just the message is there. Not that there are some, mainstream bands that, have a bad message or don't have a good message, but, and Mike mentioned Petra, and I will, 100% agree with him. Yeah, every one of their songs almost could be its own little personal Bible study for any, believer, to get something, out of the word. Any song, that they've done, pretty much you can get something out of that. And so, when another, Christian is, trying to edify other believers, that just rubs off when you listen to that and when their heart's in the right place. And we know those guys' heart was in the right place with trying to do all this. So it just lifts up your spirit, like Mike said too. It, and other bands too, there are several White Cross songs that come to mind that I know those scriptures because of the songs that they've done. So there's a couple things in Proverbs that come to mind that they sing about in one song. But so that's the reason to just, yeah, to be fed and uplifted by those artists and bands.
You know, friends, over time, now this is just for me in my journey, all the songs about, you know, making love, which really it's not love, it's lust, making love and, you know, the party hardy mentality and all that. As I've grown older and matured, to be quite frank, it all wears a little thin. I found in my life, in my early 50s now, I need something with substance. And it's time for me to start thinking about some things. Of course, you can never start thinking about some things early enough, but, you know, like Mike and Rex said, you know, I need stuff that's going to help me, going to help edify me and help me to keep my mind focused on the Lord, because it's the Lord that I'm going to have to face one day. Thankfully, the Lord Jesus has saved me. But this helps me in my journey, just to kind of stay in tune, to kind of stay in sync with my Creator and with what the Word is saying. And again, some of the juvenile stuff, it's worn a little thin now that I'm older. Music, I also believe, is a gift from the author of life. And he has given us, the author of life has given us a wonderful, all good and perfect gifts are from the Father of the heavenly lights, the Bible says. He's worthy of all the glory. And I just want to show my thanks by, you know, kind of honoring him in that capacity. So that's kind of it for me in a nutshell, why I appreciate rock and metal with a Christian message.
And all I can say is we got to be on love, automatic, hold out a hand, share a little magic, tune out the noise, turn off the static. We've got to be on love, automatic, say yeah, 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 yeah. Everybody say yeah, 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 yeah.
Again, friends, we're doing this because people have asked us questions about who we are, because we never had a chance to, once we started, Glenn Kaiser of Rez blessed us with our very first episode, and then Rick Hart, and then onward. And we've just been blessed to being able to keep going. And so we've never had an opportunity to say, hello, friends, maybe introduce ourselves. The last thing, guys, I'd like to discuss of this nature here is how the three of us met. How did a guy who now lives in Minnesota and one from Ohio and one from Arkansas we come together? So, Mike, can you remember how you and I met? Or should I say?
I think you have more memory of it than I do, but yeah, I was initially through some Petra message boards, I believe. So, yeah.
Mike and I befriended each other, friends, back in the 2000. I think it was called Petra Rocks My World. It was a message board, and I was on there, and Mike was on there, and we had communication. And Mike sent me a tape of his that he had, and some music he had done, and we just corresponded. So that was 22 years ago. Then Rex, do you remember how you and I came in contact?
Yeah, I believe it was through some Striper Facebook pages and making comments, and then finally doing some messaging through Facebook. And gosh, it's been a long time, actually. I know we were talking about this a while ago when that all started.
It's been 4 years ago.
How long?
Probably about 4 years ago. 4
Okay.
years ago.
And just, you know, to me, that was a whole God thing, because I wasn't expecting any of this like it's turned out now, which is great to happen. And we started out with our Striper Drive thing, you and me, and you know, I think that was really good. And then you were thinking about Mike because you were friends with Mike. I really didn't know Mike that much. We had him on some episodes on Striper Drive. Actually, you know, me and I consider Kent probably almost my best friend, and we've never met. And like you said, I live in Ohio, he lives in Arkansas, but you know, that doesn't matter. Yeah, that's how we all met. We just kept talking and things just went from there. It's just been wonderful.
Can I do something?
Yeah.
I feel like we're missing one thing here. So let's go the other way around. And I think each of us should say something about, you know, like what we do.
I've never been in a band. I really, you know, don't know how to play any instrument. I'll share a little story. I remember the earliest memory that I have, and I don't know what it was, but I was 3 years old, and I remember playing the record player and just rocking back and forth in my rocking chair. And I've always loved music. That is like my main hobby. That's about the only thing I do. As you can see, I got CDs here, part of them. I work as an accountant at a nonprofit, and I love that. I love the nonprofit thing. And I'm married to a wonderful wife, Jody, and we've been married for almost 3 years now. And I just love music, and so that's kind of a little bit of background on myself.
Awesome. Okay. So in my backstory, when I was 17, I felt the call to be a pastor. And I went to school for that when I was probably around late 20s, early 30s. Did pulpit supply for many, many years, filling pulpits. Eventually, I came to where I am now. I'm the pastor of a Free Lutheran church here in my local area. And I also have a background in music. Played in a few different bands over the years, but I write a lot of my own music, probably written over 100 songs over the years. And I've made some CDs. I've also authored one book. And so I hope to author some more in the future. And so, yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. Well, I'm married, wife named Martha. We have we have 3 kids that are ours naturally, and then one we adopted. So we have 4 kids in all, and we have a grandson, and yeah, that's about it.
Friends, what we wanted to do was just let you know the Shot of Summer special series that we have coming out. They're just bonus episodes. This is a recent one, but the other ones, before we had any artist interviews lined up, we weren't sure how things were going to pan out. So we recorded some just in case episodes as we were in the process of gleaning artist interviews. And they were episodes done in case, you know, we were having problems gleaning some artists because we didn't know if anybody would really want to talk to us. And so thankfully the Lord took care of us there. So we had all these just in case episodes recorded that we never utilized. So rather than just let them go to waste, we thought as little bonus episodes, we stick them out there for the Shot of Summer series. And this is episode 1. This will be in May when this is happening. And then one each through August. So friends, one other thing about these Shot of Summer series bonus episodes, some of the information might be a little outdated now. For instance, we had an episode where we were discussing bands that I think Gone Too Soon was the episode we called it. Bands that maybe have been around for a little bit and then just kind of, you know, called it quits. And like, you know, we might have said, oh, I wish they would have released one more album. Well, lo and behold, here they come all these years later, and they do. So just kind of keep that in mind. Some of the information might be a little outdated here and there, but just for kicks and grins and posterity, we're releasing these episodes. So thank you, friends, for joining us. And want to give a shout out, and the description to everyone's link will be below. Friends, just as, back in the day, we had Hit Parader magazine, we had Rip magazine, we had Cream, we had Metal Edge, Kerrang, the list goes on. And they all were wonderful magazines. I, scoured everyone, but they all reported on the mainstream bands. Well, kind of one of the purposes of this episode is for all these years, all that we knew for a lot of these bands was looking at their album cover, seeing names, seeing the same picture. But friends, there just wasn't a whole lot of information out there, save for what Heaven's Metal from Doug Van Pelt put out there, or White Throne from Kevin Carruthers, and a few others. But the information was a lot harder to come by. And so what we were hoping to do, and the Lord has saw fit to let it happen, was just to glean these artists that have ministered to us, that have been our youth ministers, so to speak, when we were younger and like our big brothers. And we just wanted to connect and to let people, sometimes, some for the first time, to hear these artists and see these artists. And it's been a wonderful journey. That's kind of the purpose of what we're doing and giving the Lord the glory for it. We want to give a shout out, just as there were different magazines back in the day, Metal Edge, Kerrang, Hit Parader, you have a variety now. It's a wonderful thing. We have brothers out there. We have Joe Walker from Imaginary Music Podcast. We have Jeremy Brown from Torrential Riff. We have Michael Crew, Soldier 777, who does a wonderful reviews from his collection. We have MegaJeff McCormick from MegaJeff's Rock Hard Vinyl out there. Kevin Carruthers from Heaven's Metal Screaming Radio. I know that recently, I believe Doug Van Pelt is doing a new series on, I think, 20 artists who kind of started a Christian rock metal revolution. We're going to put some links below, friends, to each of their channels because they're worth checking out. And that said, Mike, you got scripture close out, buddy?
I do. So earlier in the episode, you were talking about Stace's generosity with the music of the Brave here. And it was exactly that line of thought that led me to my scripture closeout for today, which comes from Proverbs 11, verses 24 and 25, which say, "There is one who scatters, yet increases more, and there is one who withholds more than is right, but it leads to poverty. The generous soul will be made rich, and he who waters will also be watered himself." That's all about being generous, and that's what I wanted to acknowledge regarding Stace. And not only, like you mentioned, him sending all them CDs out, but just sending each of us, these albums, complimentary as a nice thing to do for us. And I just really want to express how appreciative I am for that.
And all I can say is we got to be on love, automatic, hold out a hand, share a little magic, tune out the noise, turn off the static. We've got to be on love, automatic, say yeah, 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 yeah. Everybody say yeah, 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 yeah.
Take care, friends. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
I've been shielded of an endless summer, yeah. I just woke